Yeah. We'll give people a couple more minutes to join. Okay. Awesome. Looks like we have a pretty good group. Aaron and Jeff and Pedro, David, Tyler. I'm glad you guys are here. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to our community open hour for SALT project. And I am your host and community manager, Janae Andrus. And it is April 15th, and it is not tax day in the US because we changed it this year. So, all right. No, we're excited that you guys can all be here. We're excited to be able to do our open hour. We really like being able to take our contributors and users of SALT project and connect with you, with our core team, with our engineers, and give you guys a forum to ask questions, to talk to us, and of course for us to give you some updates and information. And we really value our weekly time together to have that back and forth. So hope you guys have questions, comments, and rebuttals, I believe is Tom's hatchism for that. Okay, so today we're going to have our general updates. We have quite a few. And then we will have a SaltConf announcement. So that will be exciting. At least I'm excited to share it. And then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A, or if you want to discuss a specific SEP, we can do that. So, hi, Cody. I'm so glad you're here. I neglected to make you feel welcome last week.
Hi, Janae.
I remembered. Okay, so let's dive in to our general updates. Okay, so next week is our monthly virtual meetup. We do these virtual meetups every month on the third Wednesday at, I guess, 4 to 5 Mountain Time. And this next week, we're really excited. We're going to be doing a Kubernetes panel, basically. So it's going to be, we have several contributors who are familiar with using Kubernetes and SALT. And this is pretty exciting because this is really a topic that's getting a lot of attention. We've just started our Kubernetes working group. We'd really like feedback from more of the community on this topic. So we're really looking forward to having this panel. And of course, our creator of SALT, Tom Hatch, is actually going to come speak a bit on this as well. So we're looking forward to this one. So please don't miss it. Mark your calendars. We will record it, but I hope you can come live for the Q&A. So that will be next Wednesday. So this is our last open hour that we can announce it. And next open hour, we'll talk about how wonderful it was. And so please don't miss that. We will, of course, share that more in Slack as well. But next Wednesday, April 21st, 4 o'clock Mountain Time, don't miss our Kubernetes panel. That will be fun. Okay, and bring your questions for the panel. Okay, and of course it is Thursday, so there's a new episode of Hacks out this week. A new SaltAir episode will drop today, and our docs working group is this afternoon. So lots happening in SALT project in our community. The Hacks, for anyone who doesn't know, is our podcast that features DJ Chunga and Tom Hatch, our founder, our creator, and our creator of SALT. And they get on and they talk about a lot of technical things. And then, of course, we have our SaltAir episodes, which are me and Tom doing really quick and short things where we really get granular on SALT, and we discuss they're less than 10-minute episodes. So we go through each different topic, lots of different topics on salt, and pick his brain on salt. So, and then if you, of course, want to participate in the docs working group, that is this afternoon, and you can find information for that on the community calendar. So we'll move on from here. Okay. Now the store. So store.saltstack.com is still the URL for our store. It is your last chance for SaltStack swag because we are, of course, branding to Salt Project. So as that new swag comes in, the SaltStack swag will fade out. So I don't want you guys to miss out. If you want to grab any SaltStack swag, now's your time. We are actually going to be slashing prices in the store today. So be sure to check that out later this afternoon and grab a few things. We have some really good stuff in there. And since you guys are the salt people, we want you to be able to get salty with our SaltStack swag. So that will be there. And of course, I'm looking forward to the new stuff that will be in there. And I actually wanted to ask you guys, we had this conversation a couple months ago, and it was really helpful. So as we build out the new swag for Salt Project, I want to make sure we have all the things that you guys want. So I want to hear what your favorite swag is, what you could do without. We have a couple plans for stickers. We are going to be introducing beanies this time. We haven't had beanies in the past. That was feedback I got from you guys a couple months ago. So if anyone has swag thoughts, I want to hear it. This is the time because we're placing this order here quite soon. So would love to hear what kind of swag people want to see. Sage, do you want to tell me what's in the chat? Because it's blinking at me, but I can't open it. No, maybe it went away. All right, any swag thoughts? Otherwise, I'm just going to work all my swag magic and pick up.
Toques, the trucker hats you used for the hacks.
Yeah.
That's it.
What was the first thing you said?
Toques. Gary, what are toques?
What are toques?
Toque. I guess beanie's close enough.
Oh, okay. I was
Oh.
like, is it something else? I was like, yeah, hat.
Okay, very cool. What do you guys think of the they're called dad caps, I think, but they have like, they're Richard, you can get a Richardson cap, but the back of it isn't the plastic buttons, it's the fabric. And we found a really cool one. What's the general thought on those?
It's better.
Better?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like them too. So I want to do that one as well. So awesome. Let's see what else. Do you guys like the keyboard brushes and screen cleaners that we had in the past? You could take it or leave it.
I like a disgusting keyboard personally.
Right? Because it's like the remnants of all the time you've spent there. Just joking. It's gross. Clean your keyboard.
I never use those. I never even take those as swag. I prefer stuff that's like, I would use a stress ball, and I like shirts. I like bandanas, hats, pens, pencils. I would totally use those.
Sage, you always mention pencils, and it always makes me laugh because I think you and I might be the only ones that still use pencils.
I love a good a mechanical pencil. Ooh, love it. 0.7.
When's your birthday, Sage? I'm taking notes. What was that, Bryce?
The Nike hats were really great.
Oh yeah, these ones?
The white ones.
Yeah, these were fun. Hey, look at that. Nice. Sage
I
has
got
hers
mine
on.
on. I just realized I didn't have my video on.
That's funny.
know you have brushes. I'm looking at it now, and I would totally use a keyboard brush.
Would you? I'd never
Yeah.
used those.
Yeah,
Isn't that funny?
absolutely. Well, no, I mean, my keyboard truly has remnants of things I don't ever want to remember. So I'd love a keyboard brush.
Nice. Yeah, they are pretty cool. I got
We
my
have-
daughter a Chromebook for her schoolwork when everything went remote last year. And she asked if she could have one of the Salt Stack keyboard brushes. And she was so excited to she cleaned it every time she used it. It was just really, really cute.
I would love a pop socket.
Those are fun.
I would use those. We used to have fidget spinners. I still have mine.
Oh, nice. Those are good. Taking
They
note.
were really nice too. They were really balanced.
Yeah. Good fidget spinners. We need to do like a cooler or something, those little things you can take out on a picnic or.
Yeah, or like Koozies. Those are always called different things that you put your
The Koozies.
soda
Yeah. Does
can.
anyone use those?
I use them. I totally use them.
Really.
I always use those. I could always use those.
Anyone else use Koozies? Or the can warmers or whatever?
I've got one right here. Look,
Yeah.
see? I always use these. I think it depends on where you live. If your drink gets sweaty.
Yeah.
There's
If it
not
stops the
enough-
drink from getting sweaty, it stops the drink from getting warm
That's right.
because that's where the heat goes.
That's right.
there are not enough pint length beer koozies out there. That's my
There's
my
not, I
personal.
Yes,
agree.
no, there are no tall cozies. Yeah.
I have some.
There's a brewery near where I used to where I went to college that has them. It's the only place I've seen them. Otherwise, it's always just 12 ounce, despite the fact that most breweries now are releasing pints. So that's my.
Yeah. Well, and they have
That's my big-
koozies that are the long, thinner ones for like energy drinks and stuff. Those are kind of cool. I've seen the ones that have like the magnet on them, so you can stick them to your golf clubs or something while you're out.
Yeah, coffee mugs. I would love a coffee mug too. I collect coffee mugs.
Yeah, we're gonna do a tumbler and a coffee mug,
Awesome.
or hot chocolate mug, or tea mug, or whatever you mug.
Ditto on the mug. Love me some mugs.
Love mugs. Yep.
I think I found a pretty cool one. It's got like an
Awesome.
unfinished bottom, and I think you guys will like it. So
Very cool.
It'd be cool to get a mug with like the stickers that you have right now. Because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not a sticker person, but I love the logos and I would like to have that around. If I could get that on a mug, that'd be genius.
That's a great idea. I love that.
have you guys seen? You guys remember the Tom mug that I showed you, the tumbler?
Yes,
It's gonna be in the store soon. I'm pretty psyched about it. So
I'm excited about that one.
be fun. Okay, so fidget spinners, koozies. Taking notes. What do you guys not care about? What are you like? Why is this even in the store? Do you like laptop bags? You just already have a million and you don't care, or is that always good to have?
I never care about those.
I love that.
That's just me though. I'm like another
Where was
bag.
la-
I don't need a bag.
When was the last time someone used a laptop bag?
Right. I mean, we're not using them
You're
at
not
all.
going anywhere.
Another thing I like is hoodies that have a zipper, because the ones without a
A
zipper
zip-up
are always a
hoodie.
pain.
A zip-up
Bryce, you're
hoodie,
gonna love the
that's
hoodie
true.
I picked out. It has a zipper.
Sweet.
Okay,
That's nice.
good deal. I do stay away from headphones and things like that because I figure we all have the ones we like already. So,
But I would use, I know some people have asked for this, if we could get them like, it's not always feasible to get a logo on like a dongle, that's too small, but like thumb drives or small pieces of equipment that you would use to adapters and things like that. And sometimes those are limited in what you can get. But the lightning cables or the USBs, you get USB-Cs and things can sometimes be in a swag store. I would buy those, especially as gifts.
Drive. Okay. Oh, that's helpful. Cody, you've been to a handful of shows. I'm gonna put you on the spot. What do you like? I've seen your fair share.
The
of
keyboard cleaners, the socks are good.
Oh, the socks.
Nobody said socks. I can't believe it. You know how many pairs of socks
I
I've
know.
given out?
Socks are where it's at, man.
Love the socks.
I found a really cool pair of socks. They're like kind of compression-y, but they're really comfy. I think you guys will like them. They're not like the standard, like, you know, business ones. They're a little more comfy and cushiony.
About coffee mugs. Like
Speak now if that sounds horrible to you, because David, I can't hear you.
Coffee mugs. Great.
Coffee mugs for sure. Okay.
I also
Awesome.
vote for the beanies that were mentioned.
Yes, for sure. We're excited about that. That was I believe it's Jeff has been asking for not Jeff who's here right now, but Jeff on the SALT team. He's been asking for a beanie for years. So. Okay. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Super helpful conversation about swag. And I'm excited to have that show up in the store. So don't forget to check store.saltstack.com to grab the SaltStack swag that is there. We'll be slashing prices today. So check out some things are already marked way down. So you can go look now, but we'll mark them down a little more. So, and if anyone has sticker ideas for Salt Project, always taking ideas. So just hit me up on Slack and we'll make something happen. I think we definitely need to do some hatches and stickers. So to get everyone's feel for their favorite hatchisms. Okay. And we just want to remind you about our exciting news from last week. These features have been released to open, or sorry, let me rephrase that, are on the roadmap to be released to open. And so they've been approved to be released. So we have the AIX and Solaris network minions, which includes native minions, and then Windows agentless and Delta proxy. So all of these features, to Gary's delight, have been approved to be released to open. So we just wanted to remind you in case you missed that last week, because that's our exciting news in our community right now. Okay, and we have our SaltConf announcement. So everyone get ready. It's gonna be awesome. We officially have dates for SaltConf. So November 3rd and 4th, it is going to be a 2-day virtual event. And yes, SaltConf 21 is happening and we're really excited about it. So if you have any questions about it, I'm your point of contact for that. So that is moving forward and we're really excited. So November 3rd and 4th, mark your calendars. It will be a 2-day virtual event. We are aiming to open up our call for speakers this summer. So start thinking if you want to be part of that. So I know a lot of you were part of SaltConf last year and it was just a fantastic event. And we really enjoyed everyone's participation and had a lot of good things going. So we are really excited to be able to do this year. I know there were some questions in the community of whether or not SaltConf would continue with the acquisition, which always made us smile because it was always the plan to continue SaltConf. And we definitely foresee this continuing on and on. So we're very excited about SaltConf 21. And like I said, it will be a 2-day virtual event, November 3rd and 4th. So it's a Wednesday and a Thursday. So we're still in the early stages. And if anyone wants to chat SaltConf with me, I'm on Slack. So happy to chat with anybody about your thoughts on SaltConf, what you want to see this year, you can say it right now in open hour too. But we're really, really excited about this coming down the pipeline. So, okay. All right. So that is what we've got for today. So the rest of the time is y'all's. So if anyone has questions or concerns or wants to discuss a certain step or anything else, for anyone new, the step is the SALT enhancement proposal, which you can submit on GitHub to improve SALT project, and we'll review it and discuss it. Okay, does anyone have anything?
I wanted to quickly remind everyone about this issue that outlines all the changes happening in May to the repos. Just make sure people don't forget about that. I just posted it in the chat. Try to spread the news to people who may not follow SALT as closely.
Yes, the repo changes. I will make sure that that also gets in the notes. That's happening. And we should probably make a slide for that and just kind of remind people of that as well, or put it in our general maybe. I did put in the chat, you can also reach us at saltproject@vmware.com as a general email address that is also on our contact us on the saltproject.io website. That way you can if you have anything for us that you have feedback or you have a question or anything, you can just get with Janae and I, and there's a few others that I think are on that, and we can direct emails to the appropriate person. I know not everybody's on Slack, but most people are, but there's also an email address. And I'm on IRC. I usually use Elements and Keybase. There's a lot of ways to get in touch with us. And we do also, we haven't been as active using some of the social media, especially like the subreddits or Twitter, but those are places that we're going to start putting more announcements and things. So look for those.
Yes, that will be shifting here the next quarter. And absolutely, saltproject@vmware.com. You can always reach us. So that's a good call out, Sage. We should put that on a slide next time. saltproject@vmware.com.
Maybe even the top one. What a good idea.
Great idea. We're just so clever.
We're so clever.
Was there ever any consensus come to on the approach for the repo cleanup? That was like, introducing a new version of Black and running pre-commit scripts on the entire repo. I just put the issue in the chat.
So there's an open PR with the changes to drop Python 2 code. That's up for review, and since it's quite extensive, it's going to take some time because removing Py2 code can break SALT, and so that needs to be carefully and thoroughly reviewed. If you have time and patience, feel free to look at that and help us out with a review. That it's a lot of files changing. Some changes are minimal, like removing some headers and some imports. Other changes are more importantly. So that's one of the things that is going to change. And Black would be next. My guess is that. Although someone from the core team, because I temporarily switched teams, so there might have been some more updates with regards to that.
No, that's actually it. Yeah, Pedro's working on another, what we call them squads, but he's never leaving the open community. We won't let him. That's not okay. So don't think he's going anywhere. But his focus is on another team. There's some other people. There's some other people that are on some other squads as well, but they always do come back to our open hours and are active in this community. Yeah, but we'd love feedback. I also posted the PR that's linked in that issue as well. And so please give us some comments on that. That is a sweeping change, but I think that that's the right idea. People have other comments, concerns, rebuttals, you can put them in there. We'll take the feedback for sure.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up while we're all here? Listening ears.
I will say that this week has been busy with the working groups. And we met Nicholas and Derek and I met very briefly for cloud, even though we didn't really talk about cloud and we didn't really record, but we did have fun and that was good. And then we did have the release working group and we made quite a bit of progress in that one. That's moving forward. So if people are interested in that, we have a lot of work to do there and would love people to join it. It does meet monthly. We do have a project board. I'll make sure that's in the notes. People can get to it and have tasks that are going to be clearly defined that you could just pick up like a regular issue in a backlog. Of course, I'm involved there quite heavily to also make sure that we have some changes that are going to come back to this open hour as we start looking at things. We're looking at release process and trying to figure out where we have some pain points, and then also make sure that we've got the communication pieces with releases in place and kind of that whole overall release process that it's going well. Formulas also met and they are always busy and tons of work going on there, and they meet twice a month on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesdays. People are interested, they have quite a bit in their backlog as well. And then today, do we have docs working group?
Yes, this afternoon.
Woo! And that one is very active and working on quite a bit of things. We're gonna look at a date. Janae and I need to get together and pick a date for a docs jam and give it some parameters on what we're gonna work on next. The last one was really successful, and I think we're gonna do something very similar, or we may just continue on the user guide, sort of depending on where we're gonna put that. And looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think I might do a, so there's that other open issue, that one that has to do with the undocumented or underdocumented options throughout master dominion, etc. There's that epic, but I haven't, and I created a template for all the issues that I'd like to create for it, but I have not run. When I do start to experiment with opening issues automatically, I'm going to want to communicate that, because we're going to see like 100 new issues suddenly open. And so I could be really, I could do it during triage and really make everyone's day upsetting if we wanted to.
It doesn't bother me. And if we do it like at a CLI, we can give it labels, we can put it in a milestone automatically. Like there's a lot of stuff that we can do. So I don't care.
Exactly. So just have it already pre-labeled and linked back to the epic initial issue and all of that done. So because I think that would probably be, a really good docs jam thing to do, just because those are really badly needed for SALT for us to catch up on it. And so for community members and users of SALT who know of and use options that aren't documented, or want to help with documenting them, and same with core engineers who know maybe more about the more mystery looking ones that are hard to understand what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something else we talked about that is still kind of pie in the sky, just an idea, is to look at the table of contents and really review sort of the as is. This is the table of contents as it is today, and maybe what should it be? Are there some places where we need to do some cleanup, or maybe it doesn't it made sense at the time, but does it still? And kind of review that, and then make tickets to make some of those changes to the 2B. That's something that I've actually wanted to do for more than a year, and I can't ever find the time to do it, but it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that the SALT user guide is a good, there'll just have to be some conversations on what the SALT user guide, what's gonna go into the SALT user guide that maybe already exists right now in SALT docs, but is outdated, and then how do we start to get the SALT user guide and other distributed doc sets onto docs.saltproject.io so that
Yep.
People can start making use of them instead of kind of bouncing around.
Yes. We have a lot of ideas for docs, and we actually need a lot of people that that are interested to help us. And so that's why doing the docs jams, I think, would get the most bang for our buck, if I can call it that people, we can actually say, so here's the work and here's what you're going to do, and we can just lay it out and get it all done. And so some of these other things that we have ideas for, we want to put those into either a docs jam or maybe even just a project board and do it asynchronously. And just having the time to plan it out has been a little bit of a hindrance, but I think we're going to do it in the next couple of months, and we'll start getting those more out there. And speaking of that, the security working group, I know there's a few people that have been interested, and I just simply haven't put it on the calendar. I will take an action item to do that, and we will follow up next week with that action item being completed or in progress. Hopefully it'll be completed. It shouldn't take me that long. And we'll put something on the calendar and get that out to people. We are still looking for some captains, security Kubernetes tests off the top of my head, and people to join those. And so we did have our first Kubernetes, and that was great. And I think we're going to have the panel, and that's going to be amazing. And but we are looking for people to kind of head that up. So if you're interested in that, that'd be great. I am also doing some mentoring with people that are interested in project management. And that can be community members, that can be internal people, that can be somebody who's just interested in learning a new skill, and doing a little bit of mentoring to get skills into other people and to have them either in working groups or doing other things within our just sort of greater community for the project. So if you're interested in that or know somebody who is, contact me. You can reach me directly at sage@saltstack.com. That is still active, and I do get those emails. You can also reach me at saltproject@vmware.com, and I'm on Slack, I'm on Keybase, I'm on Element, I'm in GitHub, I'm in GitLab. You can find me, I promise, I'm there.
Anywhere you go, Sage can be found.
Very likely. I am not on social media. I will say that.
I thought about adding that. I was like, except.
Yes, except.
And then you can just talk to Gareth instead.
That's true. It was funny because Nick said in the cloud working group, he's like, you can find my email on LinkedIn. I'm like, I'm not on LinkedIn. Hey, Derek, go find that.
Right.
Yep.
And I do want to echo what Sage said about working group captains. If you have interest in being more involved, absolutely reach out to one of us.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a lot of work to be the captain.
Oh, captain, my captain.
Yeah, it should be like maybe an hour a month. It shouldn't really be much more. And it isn't really, excuse me, it isn't really project management duties. It's more just sort of a point of contact for the group. And each group is a little different, so we try to adjust to those and make sure that they're working for people. Does anybody have other ideas of working groups that may be needed or initiatives? Just curious. Because as we do look at some of those things coming back to open, like the native minions and Delta Proxy. I was kind of wondering if, so we used to have a working group and it's been paused for some time on networking, and wondering if maybe that would come back, or if we wanted to do one around the native minions and form a group around that to do some work. Not sure if there's an interest there or not.
I'd love to see one. I'm not sure I can make the time commitment to captain one right now, just because I have so many
Sure.
other commitments. But I would absolutely love to see a network working group.
We'll see if we can put that back together.
I think, I hope, I would expect for that to be really successful. You may want to see if you can rope Mircea Ulinik back in. I don't know how much he's still actively involved with Salt. I know he moved it from Cloudflare to DigitalOcean. I'm not sure if they're using Salt there or not. He seems to have gone a little bit quiet, but I do see him around once
That's
in a
true.
while.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. We'll figure that out. I think I have a contact for him and from the past. That's not just his Cloudflare.
He's on
information.
Slack. He's on the network
Right.
code Slack. He's definitely around. And if you need an email address, I'm sure I can get you one.
Okay. Awesome.
While we're talking about both networking and docs, I actually have an open PR to update the documentation for the Cisco Nexus minion. Unfortunately, I don't have a Nexus 3K to test on. I don't know if either David Murphy does or maybe someone else does in the community in terms of confirming storage requirements, because I know there's some Nexus 3Ks that may not have enough storage to run the minion, to run the enlarged container. So I was hoping someone had something to try it out on.
Unfortunately, the only Cisco I've got is a KVM of an IOR-access. So I would love a Nexus myself to try some stuff on, but I've got to play with Arista at the moment. Is about as close as I can get. And I know what you mean for the guest host OS that Cisco have on their boxes. It would be nice to be able to play inside that container that they've got, since it's supposed to be basically CentOS 7, but sometimes imports the odd item that is normally there could get dropped, or maybe when they say CentOS 7, they forget to say minimal, and the minimal can morph over the different minor versions as to what's available. But yeah, I wouldn't mind having a virtual Nexus around.
I think I can actually spin up a virtual Nexus. I've also got proper hardware 9K boxes. I just don't have the ability to test on the small storage, small memory 3K boxes, which is where my primary problem is, in just making sure that they can actually support the Python 3 minion, because of all the added requirements, because you have to install Python 3 and then all the dependencies.
The TMAT based stuff is like for Arista, which would be similar. Excuse me. I've got it down underneath 50 meg with all the symbols stripped out, etc. So it isn't that large to actually have a Python 3 3.7.8 based version running. So it could fit a lot easier into the host system, I think, because you're not pulling in a lot of everybody else's dependencies as well, with it all self-contained.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Is there plans to build a Tiamat based minion for NXOS? I guess it's just a regular minion, right? Like there's nothing special about the minion on NXOS, right?
No, essentially it's really just a build process. For Arista, we're basically using a 32-bit alt arch version of CentOS 7, because they've got 32-bit platforms, and the 64-bit platform is just CentOS 7. it's pure salt that's out there, and it's just the way we got to build it. We got to build it on the CentOS 7, create an RPM, bundle in a couple of wrapper files like for user bin, like salt minion and salt call, because we do minion only on those platforms. And it's essentially what's there in the regular TMAT that's available as open source in beta at the moment. The caveat then is after we've built the RPM, we've got to run it through Arista's build process. They have a process where you can take an RPM and create a Swiss package, SWIX, and that's what they use for the install. So apart from that step, it's pretty much a regular CentOS 7. On Juniper, all the changes that I had to make to get things working on Juniper OS, that's all been merged into open source. It's there in Salt since 3002. And yeah, I mean, there's ongoing fixes like for everything. But essentially, it's just the build process on a FreeBSD box with their certs, which we've got to keep private, of course, for signing the packages, so that the Juniper box is pretty much, it's really restricted. They check everything. I mean, you could do a simple shell, but do any complicated shell work and they'll shut you down. So it's just a case of building with the certs on the FreeBSD box and then test process, of course. But it's just regular salt. So it's really the differences are building TMAT on using regular salt. For Solaris and AIX, there's no bootloader for TMAT. So we had to do our own, there's no pre-built bootloader. We had to create our own bootloader. And of course, we upgraded for the TMAT versions as we moved along. And there's been changes made to TMAT to allow you to specify, hey, use the Pi installer that's on the local machine as part of the build process, rather than going out to the net. So various little changes that have been into TMAT, but that's open source too. And all those changes are there since, God, what is the number for TMAT? I can't remember. It's in the current TMAT that's public anyway. So we're not using anything apart from build process for the certs for Juniper on FreeBSD 10, which is way out of date, end of life. But that's the same with a lot of routers where things are end of life, but they're being used them because routers are essentially infrastructure that doesn't get changed on a yearly basis. But yeah, it'll be moving out. We're going to be talking about it in our planning meeting tomorrow to see what's the process and how we get things switched over and have the build infrastructure available. But we're just using regular salt. Even for AIX, it's just regular salt built in an RPM format that they've got on AIX now that they own Red Hat. They've been really expanding their AIX toolbox. There's even a version of Salt out on the toolbox. Last time I looked, it was 2019.2, which is pretty end of life. So we're going to have the latest stuff. And then it's just, you can either get it as an RPM or as a AIX format, a BFF or an RTE extension. So, you've got to give it to the way the customer expects things to be. But it's really more a case of building, fixing issues, and then putting the issues back into regular salt. So it's just essentially the build script that is the source for getting the native minions on that platform.
So should I be looking, instead of trying to update the guide to use for Python 3, should I just be looking to update it for Tiamat, or are we not quite there yet?
Well, the Tiamat-based Arista in Juniper have been built since November, Christmas of 2019, and they've been hammered by both Juniper and by IBM in one of their cloud infrastructures where they use Arista switches, and they've been hammered. There's one issue with fast CLI on Arista, but that's a case of the Arista boxes used GitLib version, and they said, here, use this version. It was like 2.16, we should be safe. But then they changed versions around from 2. to 2.17, 2.18, and then they went back in the later versions back to 2.17, and so it's really a question of getting the right GNU libc for that will work across from the 32-bit version 4.18 all the way through version 4.25. And so it isn't really a salt issue as more a build issue, so that we use the right libc that, since they weren't consistent, I'm going up and then coming back down is kind of not a great thing to do, but that's what they did. And so we were able to work around that issue, and that's going to come out in the next 3003 version. But other than that, everything's been bulletproof. It's been hammered and proven very effective. And we even found bugs in Junos, some of the older versions, like version 17.4, that they had to patch and things. So it's been pretty solid. You know how it is with, you come out with something new and you're going, hey, the new stuff's broken. It's like, no, we're hammering it so hard, we're finding flaws in the underlying OS. And they had a patch for it in later versions, and they had to backport it because that was the version IBM was using. But yeah, they've been pretty solid. I know the open source TMAT stuff is in beta, but that's only because they've been more emphasis on with CVEs and getting releases out in the regular format. But in the router cases and in Solaris and AIX, I had to go TMAT base, because like in Arista, they're using locale C and there's POSIX. There's no getting around and just installing UTF-8. And so there are issues worked into that are in TMAT. And that's why we're using Python 3.7, because they added that capability to, if you use POSIX and you have CPython, then you can get UTF-8 built inside Python itself, rather than relying it being in a module. And they had to do that as well, because some of the containers are only shipping with C locales. Alpine would be one, I believe that's just a C locale, but you still need UTF-8 for Python. So that's why we were pushed to using Python 3. And it's becoming like an Arista built in with Napalm, and Arista's own eAPI is available.
It's a good,
that. So
yeah, it's a good point though, Gary. You kind of touched on it, I think, a little bit, like the docs that you wrote, like that PR that is the work in progress for the Nexus Cisco. I think that all those changes still go there, but as we look at going forward, some of that stuff will also be using TMI, and so we probably need to link to the docs that are there or will be there for anything else. And we've talked about doing some of that, especially as we start to distribute the docs in other places, like as we put that new user guide, that it's living somewhere else and it's separate from sort of our all-encompassing documentation. We probably do want to link back to that. I'm not sure that one in particular needs to go to anything that exists today, but it may be a good idea to just say, if you're looking for documentation on other network devices for this or that, that it would be here somewhere.
Yeah, we've got the documentation in the enterprise documentation, and we've got to migrate that out into open source in some way. And that's an ongoing discussion as what's the best way to do that.
Yeah, so as we're looking at all of those things that are coming back into open, we're going to start the conversation tomorrow, and we'll continue to have it and bring stuff back to this meeting as well about those plans and timelines and how we're going to do that and where things will live, and so that it's communicated out, our plans, and then changes, and then of course implementation, and we'll see those things come to fruition. Hopefully that'll work out.
Okay, great.
It's basically just the build pipelines, you leveraging SALT as it currently exists at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see those moving out of our private repo on GitLab into the public GitLab repos.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with it is the communication piece, right? We know that it's going to happen, but now we need to follow up with that to tell you, here's the timeline, here's where it is. Now you know where it's living. And because some of that, each one of those 5 that are coming back to the open source projects may live in different places. Like Delta Proxy will need to be part of the Salt code base, but the native minion doesn't need to be part of the Salt code base and will probably live in GitLab, because I think it's going to be, because it is about the build process mostly. So that's where we have that currently. So each one is a little different. And I think understanding that for each one is that communication piece, right?
Yeah.
That's why you have me and Janae. Woo, yeah, we do this.
Woohoo.
Yeah, it's exciting. I was a little sad I couldn't be here last week. I was off the grid with my family and spring break, and couldn't be here for the wonderful announcement and see Gary's face and be all excited. But you know, I wanted the announcement to go out.
It's a beautiful moment.
I was definitely pretty psyched.
Yay!
See, Gary, this is what happens when you ask about it the week before we announce it. We just like totally make a big deal about it.
I was trying not to harass you guys too much, but I'm like, I looked up
No.
after my calendar. I'm like, it's been a couple months. I didn't want to seem like I was no longer interested. So, you know.
No, it's totally fine. Thought it was great. I thought it was just almost perfect timing. There were a lot of things that have kind of come about as I went on a little bit of PTO last week for just a few days, and of course that's how it happens. You've been waiting, and now that I'm off, everything's now ready for you to do your thing, Sage. I'm like, oh, good. Bonus.
I was really proud of you for taking the time, though. It's important.
It is.
Don't you dare come back
time
for this.
off. That's right. It was lovely to have time off. I hope everybody takes their time off when they get it, because gotta recharge, right?
Yes.
Not that we can really go places. Although I will say that I did get to see my mom, which I haven't seen my mom in over a year. Although that was actually kind of nice too.
I'm gonna send her a link to this video. Just kidding.
She'll laugh. It's okay.
Buddy.
Yeah. I hope people are being safe. Hope everybody's washing their hands still. Wash your hands. Does anybody miss Mo saying that? Mo used to always say it. Wash your hands. Stay
Wash
safe.
your
And
hands.
stay healthy.
I just need someone to stop telling me to sing like, what is it, the ABC song or the happy birthday song? I'm like, give me a better 20-second song to sing when I watch it.
Oh, isn't it Andre? Andre
Baby
said
Shark.
the Barbie song. Oh, Baby Shark. That could be like
No, Gary.
If
have
I'm
to
gonna
look
listen to that all day, I think you should all share in the pain.
I've been in that pain.
Touche.
Oh, that is funny. Good stuff. All right, well, stay safe, stay awesome, stay salty. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Talk soon. See you next week. And join us for virtual meetup next week, next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.